Good morning, everyone. 7:08 here on KFYO Mornings with Dave King and Matt Martin and 54 degrees. Well, Clint Thetford, Lubbock County Emergency Management Coordinator. Well, will that all fit on a business card?
Just barely, but it will.
Well, of course, it is good to be talking about emergency situations. We see what's going on down in South Texas. So what exactly what's our biggest worry in Lubbock?
Probably our biggest threat would be severe weather, tornado, flooding, those type of events that we can have here. Potentially, if we're in a drought situation, we could have the wildland fire threat. So we just kind of wanted to come in this morning and visit with you guys and the folks out on the listening to us. And really the main reason we're coming in is that September is our National Preparedness Month. And so we really want to make sure the citizens are aware of that. And with the ongoing situation down south along the coast with the hurricane recovery going on right now, like I say, I think it's got people's attention that maybe they ought to prepare for those disasters and emergencies that can happen here within our area.
Well, what can we do to prepare? Where can we go to find that information?
One of the key places you can go is ready.gov. You can also go to the Lubbock County Emergency Management Facebook page. We're trying to post a lot of information throughout the whole month of September. They have a different weekly theme each week, and this week's theme for the month is to make a plan. You need to have a plan in place for you and your family, which needs to include, evacuation information, how you're going to communicate if the lines of communication are down. Mm-hmm. Like I say, they're focused on doing the family planning. And then each week, I think we're going to come back each week with you guys and talk about the theme for that week throughout the month.
Yeah. So as far as make a plan, you were talking about as communication. So down in the Houston area, I know that y'all were down there, and I think Rockport area is where you were, and were all the cell phone coverage down? I mean, it's hard to imagine that you can't find a way to contact somebody in today's day and age, but it is possible that all that communication just goes down. Initially,
when the first few hours, almost all their communications was down, especially in the Rockport, Ingleside, Corpus area where we were at. By the time we actually got back down there, some of the cell services were up, and then they'd be down. They were just kind of hit and miss, so when you could actually get service down there. That's one thing that we do when we go in. We actually bring in satellite-based voice over IP networks, both on our comms trailer and on our mobile command vehicle. So when we roll in an area, we actually have phone service that we know is going to work. As long as Lubbock County still exists, we're going to have some type of phone service we can provide for those folks that we go support during those type of disasters and emergencies.
So right now you're in the mode of training or educating people as to what they need to be doing as far as preparedness for some kind of disaster. But do we have a disaster center that is going to come into action if we were to have such a disaster?
Actually, the city and the county both. The city's in the process of building the new emergency operations center for the city, and with the new law enforcement center that the sheriff's office just went into a few months ago, the county for the first time has our own emergency operations center now that we can coordinate with the city on responses. And so we put those mechanisms in place. But I tell people this all the time. I think from the local government level up to state level and even up to the federal level, I think we prepare to respond to disasters and emergencies very well. And I think you're seeing some of that now on the coast with the way the state's responding. But I think the problem is we're built on a foundation of individual and family preparedness, and then what I like to call the community preparedness. How well is the community as a whole prepared to respond and support each other in like a neighborhood group, a neighborhood association, or a civic club, those kind of things? How can those groups prepare to be ready whenever the disaster day hits.
So I've got one other question. As far as family preparedness, how much, I mean, day-wise or even week-wise, food and water should someone keep in their house? Of like dried food, stuff that you...
The very minimum is 3 days. We like to recommend 7 to 10 days.
Okay.
That's what we like to recommend is at least 7 to 10 days. But you need to have ways of communicating. One thing that the Lubbock County Emergency Management Group has done is we've put up what's called GMRS, or General Mobile Radio Service repeaters. We've got 3 of them up in the county now. Mm-hmm. And if anyone's interested, then contact my office. But you can buy a couple of little $50 handheld radios and get your license for that. And then we're allowing the citizens to use those assets, those repeaters, at no cost to the citizens. It's a way that we can provide back to the citizens to give them a way to communicate, even if cell phones are down, regular telephone lines are down. And they're all at sites where there's emergency power. So it's just a way that we can hopefully provide that communications for the people in Lubbock County.
When you were talking a minute ago about having like 3 days of food, and is there a place you can go to buy prepackaged food? Because I wouldn't know what to stock.
Yeah.
I mean, it's probably I'd get a bunch of stuff that would ruin.
I think Costco has like a bucket or something you can buy that has like 72 hours worth of food for a family.
Yeah, I think there's some of those out there.
I'm sure like Cabela's and stuff like that would have dried foods. But other than that, what we keep at our house is we buy the 50-pound bag of rice, and we keep rice and we keep pinto beans. And you can make a lot with that. That'll last a long time.
Well, you can, but what if you have no electricity and no gas? And you can't. You're going to make a fire out in the backyard?
I guess so. I mean, there's always a way to cook.
Well,
one of the
biggest things that you need, even for your
bread,
grill, beans, and rice, you got to have water.
Yeah.
Water's the number one thing. You can actually survive several days without any food, but you can't survive without water.
Right.
You've got to have a mechanism to either have water in storage or have a way to filter water. Those type of things. So, like I say, that the ready.gov is a good place to go look. There's several prepper websites that are out there that will kind of give you good information on those type of things.
But remember, your refrigerator is probably not going to be working, so anything in there is probably going to go bad.
Yeah, the refrigerator or your freezer. We actually know a lot of people that have seen them in disasters. They'll start cooking that, and it'll last longer if it's cooked than it will being thawed out.
That's when you need one of those Yeti coolers. You can throw some ice.
The biggest freezer stuff find,
right? But
it'd be nice to have a little gasoline generator too.
Yeah, we highly recommend it.
You could plug your refrigerator into that.
Yeah. And the thing about the generators, you got a lot of people that are on medical devices. That's one other thing. When you make your plan, you got to really think about the folks that may have oxygen generation machines or those kind of things. That requires a little bit more planning than the normal family that don't have those needs.
I was going to say, as far as that, though, part of your plan, generator-wise, needs to be probably extension cords because you don't want that thing in the house.
No, you don't want it in the house. I know several people that are actually having them built in where they're automatic trip over and those type of things. But, you don't want to be running that. You don't want to be running any propane heaters or anything like that in your house to allow the carbon monoxide to build up that can cause problems.
So this thing's really cool. You brought us a little something to give away on the radio, and you were talking about radios. This is a handheld radio, but it also is smartphone charging and solar powered as well as crank powered. I mean, this thing's pretty neat. We'll give it away to the caller number 4.
Well, hey, I may want that.
Nope, too bad.
Let me see that.
We're giving it away.
Caller
number 4, we're going to give away. It's just a little handheld radio that is a crank and solar, as well as it can recharge your cell phone in an emergency. So,
well, that's cool. So, what is this frequency of this little radio?
I believe it's the AM/FM bands.
Oh, it's a receiver.
It's a receiver.
Okay, I got you.
Receiver on that one. But if you're needing to get information,
790 AM. I'm just telling you, right there.
790 AM. Y'all are actually the authorized emergency station for Lubbock County.
Yeah.
So there you go.
That's because we have such a big footprint.
Yeah.
Okay, well, it's good to have you out, and you're going to be back next Wednesday.
Next Wednesday.
And we will talk more.
We'll talk about plan to help your neighbor and community.
Okay. We'll be back.